I want to focus specifically on the economy.
Right.
As the chief exec of America's biggest bank, you have an unrivaled insight into the financial health of the US consumer. What are people doing with their money right now?
So you have to look at it a little bit in context. The consumer's in pretty good shape right now. Unemployment's under 4%. It's been there for 2 years. Housing prices are up. Stock prices are up. Jobs are plentiful. Wages are finally going up at the low end. The consumer's in pretty good shape. The one thing you got to be cautious about, a lot of it is driven by just fiscal spending. Mm-hmm. So even today, the deficit is 6% of GDP, almost $2 trillion. That's driving a lot of this growth. And that will have other consequences possibly down the road, called inflation, which may not go away like people expect. So when I look at the range of possible outcomes, you can have that soft landing. I'm a little more worried that it may not be so soft and inflation may not quite go away people expect. I'm not talking about just this year. I'm talking about 25 and 26. The rates may have to go up a little higher. I'm talking about the 10-year rate, the 5-year rate. And that can have consequences. So we'll see.
But right now, you describe a pretty rosy picture, and yet we know consumers aren't feeling it. Why this disconnect?
Yeah. Well, you have to look at different consumers here. So the bottom 20% of America have not done particularly well over the last 20 years. Incomes barely went up. Remember, suicide, fentanyl, crime, inflation. There are a lot of negative effects. Some people can't get mortgages, can't buy their home. So yeah, there's part of society who's kind of struggling. There's part of society who's not. And I think that's a different issue about how we deal with the policy, but you can see why that has people upset.
So just to go back to the soft landing, in the letter you concede you were on the hawkish side, but then things played out in a more benign fashion. But you're still, it's a slightly begrudging concession. You yourself sound quite glum in the letter. Can you tell us a bit more about why that is?
So I'm not looking at a year. I'm not making a forecast. I'm trying to say, what are the range of possible outcomes? And last year and this year, I would put out the same issues. Huge amount of fiscal deficit, huge amount of QE, a lot of things in the future inflationary, the green economy, the remilitarization of the world, obviously the deficits, which basically aren't going to go away as far as the eye can see, and geopolitics. All that puts me on the side of caution that things may not go as well as people expect. The odds of a soft landing, the market kind of prices in 70%. I think it's half of that. As a business person, I try to be prepared for all of that. Just a little cautious. It looks a little bit more like the 70s to me. And I point out to a lot of people, things look pretty rosy in 1972. They were not rosy in 1973. So don't get lulled into a false sense of security because the today looks okay, that tomorrow's going to be okay. So just trying to separate the two.
Sticking with today then, is Bidenomics working?
Partially. When you spend that kind of money, you're going to have growth. And we needed some of it, like some of the industrial policy. I think the infrastructure thing is terrific. That was bipartisan. Other things will remain to be seen. So I think some of the American public looks at it like, what are they getting? Mm-hmm. So if you go to rural America or inner cities, I'm not sure they feel like they're being lifted up by this economy.
Do you think Jerome Powell's doing a good job as chairman of the Fed?
I have tremendous respect for Jay. I think the Fed was probably late in raising rates. They caught up. They're probably right and watching right now. We don't know what's going to happen. You might as well wait. We also don't know the full effect of QE. I'm a little more on the cautious side of that. Most people have a general feeling that you can reduce the balance sheet by several $1 trillion and its effect will not be felt. I'm not so sure.